Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another... Wait a minute. Wait, this isn't a theory. This isn't what the people subscribe for. Well, while that's true, as I've mentioned before, that I wanted to do some videos outside of Little Nightmares and some occasional odd theories and stuff. But obviously, I would always be doing game theories as I enjoy them. But occasionally, I will be stepping out of the theory areas. But I also have different hobbies too. A few weeks ago, I posted a community post asking if anyone would like to see a video about a game that I made for a community game jam. And the response was surprisingly yes, which is pretty cool, which was awesome to me. So obviously, I haven't made a video in weeks, but I will be explaining why later on down the line in more likely a live stream. Don't worry, you'll see more videos coming back up, even if they aren't necessarily fully theory related videos. It's just me coming back into the schedule and back into the swing of things. But you'll see a lot more videos basically, in short. But with that being said, let's get into today's video. So, what is the community game jam? Well, if you follow me on places like Twitter and Instagram, and also Discord, you'll see that in my spare time, I like to make games, and sometimes these games are made for game jams. These are fun and challenging, and it helps me get better at making games. The community game jam was created by Blackthorn Prod, Brackies, Danny, and a few other members of the gaming community, which I will obviously list, but some of these people I don't personally follow, so I don't really know about them. But with that being said, now lots of these people you may or may not know, as these are a lot of Unity devs and game developer channels with their combined viewers and community. They decided to host the community game jam, which in short would have been basically like the YouTubers game jam. And their goal was obviously to bring people together and see what anyone and everyone can make. Now I recently found out about this because I follow two particular YouTubers in that regard, and that's Danny and Blackthorn Prod. So when I saw the trailer come out, I thought, hell yeah, another game jam and time to freshen up on Unity. With game jam games, you will often have to complete the game within a certain time or days given. For this jam in particular, everyone had 1 week. But I only had 48 hours, and in fact I think I had even less than that if I'm really being honest, if I tally all the hours up together. So, and remember, these 48 hours is to make everything within a game, from art, models, voiceovers, music, code, everything. Nothing can be pre-made, it has to be your creation. Now, before I obviously get into the video about how it's been made and all that malarkey, now most programmers will obviously write code to create their game, but what you'll see a lot of in this video is something called playmaker. Playmaker is just a visual scripting tool for Unity. The best way to compare it is to Unreal's blueprint editor. In short, it makes things a lot easier to get working and flowing. Now, I always used to think it was somewhat cheating in some regard to use these types of things, but in fact, a lot of mainstream games you know of and have played use this type of tool. For example, a big one is Inside. Theory coming soon on Inside, and you'll see a live stream or gameplay coming to that in the next few days. I need a breath. I have tried for years to learn coding, and I only know how to grasp coding thanks to Playmaker. So with that in mind, let me talk you through my development of a game called Tagul. So, the theme of the game jam was announced and at the start of the competition, and the theme was "The Game is a Liar." Now for the keen-eyed few among you, you would notice that that is actually the title of the game that I made, because I am an extraordinary person at creativity. So I used basically the first letter from the title of the theme for the game. Now, I am one for exaggeration and wishful thinking, and the first thing that I had to do with this game would be decide on what it would even be about, what kind of experience I wanted for the player. So, my first few ideas, I was thinking along the lines of deception and of course lying to the player. So my first few ideas were, have the player control a small 2D little character in a platform style and hide certain parts of the level to them, only to be revealed once you unlock something or hover over a mouse and reveal a hidden part. But this turned out to be actually quite popular within the entries, so I'm quite glad that this didn't actually make my final choice. My other idea would have been to have the game's input be a liar. So for example, you wanted to move a character out of the way of danger, you press left, it would in fact go right, up was down and down was up, and it was all random. With this I was thinking the same type of idea, with it being 2D. But then I thought to myself, well, what games have I played where I've actually enjoyed being lied to? And in it was a plus on the overall experience of the game. And of course it hit me, and I imagine you would have answered the same, perhaps. The Stanley Parable. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Stanley Parable is an interactive storytelling and walking simulator video game designed by an American developer named Davey Werden. I think I said that wrong. I thought that this would be my best shot. However, there's a few issues with this. One of the main issues that I would have had from making this game would it be it's in 3D. Now, if you look back at the catalogue of games that I've made for game jams and things on the side, you would rarely, and I mean very rarely, maybe one game that I ever made in 3D. In fact, the majority of the games that I have ever made are in 2D because, quite frankly, I suck at modelling, I suck at drawing, I can get away with drawing a bit easier, but to make an interactive story that it would be interesting to play, it would need to be 3D, and I would have to do a thing I dread most, 3D modelling. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to do the papercraft animation and things like that, as it's actually nice to model and create levels all within Blender itself. It's rather relaxing, but you see, you can't see these models close up, and a lot of the times, all these models are just imported through the Unreal Engine viewer, so in fact, I'm not even making those models, I'm just manipulating their movements, and so that is a bit more easier for me. But I really bit the bullet this time, and I wanted to make something different. And I wanted to make something with everyone else in mind to show. So I yeeted all the other ideas that I had for the 2D projects and got right into planning out a 3D game. And of course, the first thing I realised, I needed to plan out the dialogue. Yeah, I avoided the modelling as much as I could. So with that, I began to make a dialogue tree of all the ways that I wanted to take the story, and the story will need to be interesting to keep players playing and enjoy it. And you know me. I'm okay with dissecting stories, maybe thinking and theorising about stories, but I actually really suck at writing my own, which I've recently discovered. It's quite ironic, really. So I planned a tree out of how I wanted it to go and got to work recording them all in Audacity. And I tried to stay on script. I added a radio effect over every voice recording, so it does sound like it comes over a tannoy sort of system. And I do have to admit, I kind of wish I waited to do the voiceovers last, because I found it actually very relaxing. And then I couldn't beat round the bush, I had to take on modelling, so I began to work on the assets that I would need for the base game in general. So I made a list, and it started out with the basics such as walls, keycards, desks and chairs, and then the doors. It wasn't until later I actually decided that I had quite a bit of time to end up adding some extra models to make the scenes look far more interesting than they originally planned out to be. I don't know if you can tell the difference or if I have that footage, but when you first get the playtest of the first version compared to like the end result, you'll see how much actually is altered between them. After that, like I said, a lot of the extra models for things like pens and paper. And with that, I don't want to show you my workings, but I suppose it's a game dev jam video, so you'll obviously see it running behind the screen as I'm talking about it, so please don't judge me too harshly. After some of the main assets were created, I had to get everything down and start building an actual level. A lot of the time when I do a game jam, I am not prepared for anything, as I've never usually take it somewhat seriously, but this time round I needed to do this so I could figure out what I can do with the keys and spawn locations, and a lot of it did have to be pre-thought of because you can't just like throw these extra bits in and expect it to work. But I needed to make everything fit where it fit. So with that in mind, I drew up some really bad layouts in Photoshop and referenced it right to the end. But in fact, to the end product, it was altered quite a bit compared to the base game because I gave myself such a limitation for expectation, time wasted on like 3D models and stuff, that I didn't actually build a very big level at all. It was like at best maybe a minute long. So in the end I actually had to decide to add extra levels, make it work at last minute, and frankly it worked. Obviously there was some bits I do want to change, but I didn't have enough time. Like I said, everyone had a week to do this. I only had 48 hours because I feel like a week is too long for a game jam. I know that sounds really silly, but I like the pressure and the whole suddenness of the game jam. It really motivates me more than having a week to really polish, because I feel like that's the issue I have, is I can't polish. But with that being said, all that was done, everything was built, the base game was kind of down, the voice was working, it had the UI overlays and stuff like that. After this, I had to design one of the things that I hate doing the most, aside from modelling: music. Music, for me, doesn't come naturally. If I need to make something to use, I need to focus on the idea of the piece that I need to make, for instance. If you take No Time, the music video you're probably hearing in the background right now, this was made 3 years ago. I don't really need to make another track for my videos, but that was made over a few days off an idea about I had like a soft, dark vibe. It was the original sort of thing that I wanted to put behind like Little Nightmares videos, and it did the job quite well. But I'm not a professional, so you can tell that when you listen to it. But with this in mind, I just wanted to get the main parts of the sound covered, as some of the variation can actually be done within Unity, within like pitch shifts and stuff. If there is one thing I wish I spent more time on, it was definitely the music, as it wasn't very unique and it was rather repetitive. But aside from that, the only other main sound I needed was the effects, which luckily for this game was literally just a door sound effect, and which was done in the matter of minutes. I don't even think I got round to adding footsteps in the end, because I feel like I was trying to make background eerie and atmospheric, which I don't feel like worked very well. But after getting all the base buildings down and practically most of the sound effects in there and ready, I had some time spare, and I thought, you know, I should probably make a video, like a little trailer. I feel like that would be a good addition to the game, and it wouldn't be a very long process. But one thing I did fail to mention very early on in the video is actually, at the end of this game, there is a part of the ending where I actually play through the video as part of the story. So not only have I got footage left over from that, and by the way, if you want to know what I'm referring to, basically at the end, a bit more explanation, at the end of the game there's a part where right at the end of the last room you get a video come up on a TV and it's just me talking to the player. But in short of shooting that, I got some extra footage that was like locational shots for the in-game stuff, but instead of using that in there, I actually ended up using it all in a trailer. So I thought it would give it a bit more impact and make it look a little bit more professional. But after all the commotion, I found I was quite happy with what I made, and I was really looking forward to tidying some of the areas and models up, which I did. Which brings me to my final part of the video, where I discuss how I feel about the final ratings and my thoughts about what I could have done better. So the final rating for Tagul was around 266 out of 1051 entries, and Tagul came 260th in theme, 261st in game design, 265th in graphics, 274th in audio, and 316th in fun, and finally 389th in innovation. I must say, I was more than pleased with the results that I got for the game, considering some of the factors and how long I had to do it in, as these results in my eyes are quite respectable, and it's really helpful for feedback and helps me along the way, like with other games that I'll be making. I've been doing this for around maybe 2 to 3 years now, and also if you consider the Lunum Dare, I also take part in that, and my scores consistently improve in that as well. So over in all, the jam just provides me with more knowledge and more experience to enter these jams and get higher scores, and obviously scores aren't the best way to really, appreciate the game you've made all the time, but it gives you a generalization on how you're doing, and for me, I keep improving my scores little by little, but it's still an improvement. In short, the only things that I wish I could change about the game or change my approach of the game was the following. I wish that I could have spent more than 48 hours on the game and spent the whole week doing the game. I should have spent more time on the 3D models, I should have tried more variants with the music side of the game, and I should have made the story more compelling and interesting. But with that being said, I really enjoyed it, and a lot of great games have come out of the Game Jam. This will not be my last Game Jam, and I hope in the future I can share more projects like this with you guys. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you hit like, comment and subscribe, and if you do want to see more things like this, then let me know. I'd be really happy to do these sort of things. It'd be really cool. I like doing it. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all the best. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next Theory video. Bye!